Hey, welcome to Papa's These Bees. Here's the second half of the September 18th inspections. We're going to do pretty much the same thing we did on the other side. I'm going to use the the new tools we've got, the table and the the frames frame holder. Also got a little green wagon. I thought was probably kind of nice, but kind of a garden wagon that we can use to move stuff around. Again, help make my back and everything else. Got the inner cover off, and now we're getting ready to remove the super so we can get down inside. As is usual, these girls really have this super stuck down really hard. It took me a while to get it down, so I've all that extra stuff out. And you can see this queen excluder is pretty full of Burcombe and just kind of messed up. So, like we talked about the other hive, next time we're gonna use the metal frames or the metal queen excluder as we put that back on and put the honey super on. I really do like this frame rack. It really helps keep everything up off the ground and allows you to do a better job of putting the frames in the order they need to be. Also, I've mentioned before the bees really got to the point where they cleaned up the markings on the ends of the frame so you can see which end is the best. So I went ahead and remarked this one while I was there. We're going to do pretty much the same thing we did on the other hive on this date, is to just pull the frames out and shoot each side of them. Can't really use these for the bee scanning app because you have to do like 3 shots per frame, which we'll do that probably on the next inspection. Take a little bit of short view on these. This is going to be a short inspection. We're not going to go all the way through it. We're going to check and make sure that we've got a queen. You can tell that by eggs and or larvae in there, so you know she's been in there a while if you've got either. On this end, on the outside there's usually just resources, but both of these two hives have been kind of strange in that they kind of mix it up. They'll move stuff on the outside. Like this is a really good frame of brood on this hive as we show it here. You can see all the capped brown brood there. Really interesting that there's that much on that close to the edge. This frame would be frame number 3. Actually, that was frame number 2. Towards the middle is where you'd expect to see your more amount of capped brood, but you can see here we've got some brood, a lot of brood actually, and so that's it's kind of nice to see. See, one side there's a lot of brood, and the other side there's not much of anything. So you can see a lot of pollen there on the bottom, and then down deep in there you see that kind of yellowish color. Usually yellow and orange is the colors of the pollen that we have around here, and there's quite a bit of pollen in all these frames, so that's good. That means they're bringing stuff in, and usually that's a good sign of queen activities if you've got a bunch in there. Again, more brood, kind of spotty, but if you can see down in those holes where where there's no capping, you more than likely you're going to see either an egg or a larvae. Got a couple of bees on that frame that didn't look like they were capped, so I'm going to have to dig in to see why that happened. Could be because the bees didn't think they were viable larvae, and so they're just going to go ahead and clean them out and get rid of them, which is some of the things they'll do when there's just when there is a bad larvae in there. If there's a lot of them, I'd be really, really worried, but there's just those 2 really is really all I saw on that frame, and I didn't see really any other as well. So now you're in the middle, and you'd expect to see your most amount of larvae and brood, but you're really not. You're seeing a lot of larvae around there if you look on the edges, but not so much brood, and a lot of pollen on the bottom. This is going pretty fast. We should have slowed it down, but this time of year you just don't want to leave the bees open that much because you're afraid it might be some robbing of either other bees or wasps or whatever. So we kind of moving pretty quickly through here that we wouldn't normally do. I'm getting ready to put, this will be probably the last frame we'll look at and leave the other two frames because again, we've got brood and we've got, you can see the larvae in here, the white stuff up there just next to those capped brood, as well as the pollen at the bottom. So you know she's in there laying. There's just so much brood, really more brood than I would have thought for this time of year. And there's every once in a while you see some glistening nectar as well. This hive's awfully hard to see in because there's a big old tree right next to it, so it's kind of hard to see. In fact, I've never spotted the queen once we've installed them in here. We're going to put it back together, move everything over to one side, then you kind of want to center everything. You give that equal space on either side of the 1 and 8 frames, kind of even it out and make it easier on the bees. Here's where I should be taking the frame hanger out, but I forgot to do it, so I'll have to do it a little bit later. Getting ready to install one of the bee traps, or not the bee, but the beetle traps, the hive beetle traps that we installed on the other hive, filling up with vegetable oil, which again will kill those hive beetles. Won't bother the bees because the bees can't get down inside. The holes are just big enough for the beetles to get down inside. And we'll just continue the task of putting the hive back together. Smoke them. They always both these hives tend to congregate on that front right corner. You can see all the bees on the front of the hive here as well. Put the super back on, and there's probably not much honey because they're bringing stuff in, but they'd used all their so much of their stuff up earlier when we had a dearth period back in August, so they're trying to refill that back up, and they probably won't put much, if anything, back in the honey super. Put the little flow viewed window as well as I call it the crank window, close those both up. And that's all that's left is to do that and put the roof on, and we're done for this time. Here we go. Okay, pretty much done with it. Thanks for watching. Come back and watch the next one. We'll do some more stuff, and we'll install some equipment.